All right. It is 1 o'clock on Sunday, 1 o'clock Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, and 11 a.m. Pacific on our favorite YouTube channel, Twin Days Trekkies. I am Wes, the creator and co-host and social media manager for this podcast, Twin Cities Trekkies, which we are now celebrating 4.5 years. Hi, Ed. Hi, Ed. My favorite universe, Ed. Uh, I'm glad I'm having somebody today, unlike last time. But speaking of the last live stream, I took it down after trying to get an MP3 file, but unfortunately it didn't work. It's corrupted, but I was able to record a review of A Space Adventure Hour, which will drop in less than an hour on your favorite podcast platform. So episode 97, called Where in the World is Amelia? I forgot the last name, but because I was thinking of Carmen Sandiego from PBS back in the day. So that episode will drop in less than an hour, probably shortly, probably like a half hour after this is over. So you'll be able to listen to episode number 97, reviewing A Space Adventure Hour and other things of the podcast going forward regarding this. So from now on, we're going to do it now at 1 p.m. Central. Yes, Ed. She definitely had a Carmen Sandiego feel to her outfit. Yeah, that's what I was thinking the entire time when I saw Christina Chong as Amelia. So I thought that was a really nice choice because it would be very interesting to see that. And I liked the fact that it was about that episode. I really did enjoy it. It was another holodeck gone haywire episode. We haven't had one since Voyager. So I think, we haven't had one since Voyager. So it's been a long time. So it's been about almost like over 25 years since we have had a holodeck go haywire. I think that was the last one, The Killing Game, the two-part episode of Voyager way back in 1998. So I think that's the last one we've had. I mean, granted, holographic, and I mentioned in the review that I'm dropping in less than an hour that, Enterprise and Discovery also did holographic things. Like the episode Unexpected from season 1 of Enterprise had a holographic projection, stuff like that. And also don't forget about the holo communication devices in Discovery and the holographic training exercise in the episode Lethe from season 1. So it's been evolving, the holographic technology has. And, it would be interesting to see if this holodeck technology is the same technology that we saw in that Enterprise episode, refined for the 23rd century. So I really did enjoy that episode of Strange New Worlds, A Space Adventure Hour. So that will be dropping in less than an hour, episode 97. So hopefully about maybe 15 to 30 minutes after this live stream is over, you'll be able to hear that episode on your favorite podcast platform. But so today's episode is going to be talking about Through the Lens. Yes, it was a fun episode. So today's episode, I know that the video is mislabeled. It's actually Through the Lens of Time, not Through the Sands of Time. Granted, I thought it was the Sands of Time, but I forgot it was called Through the Lens of Time. So this is season 3, episode 5. So we're halfway through the season already. Wow, it's this season gone by so fast. But that's what you get when you get 10 episodes a season as opposed to more than 10. Because it feels like it's been going by so fast. But forget my cat who just dropped in a little bit in the background there. So let's talk about that quick. Talk about the episode first, and then I want to talk about some things that have been revealed at STLV especially the biggest news that came out of Scott Bakula and Mike Sussman, actually. I want to talk about that because I really, really want to talk about that part too. But because I have serious FOMO, I will see that first and foremost. I told some people that I've had on the show and stuff like that, that especially Jessie from Crusher Convo, she's there, and I told her when we did our live show together, when I was on her show about a month ago, a little over a month ago, talking about Bloodlines and Jason Vigo and Jack Crusher. After the show, she said she was going to go to STLV, and I told her like, "Oh man, I so want to go," and I've been meaning to go. I've been meaning to go for the last like I don't know 8 years, but it's just mainly finances why is that when I'm not going. But I really want to get to STLV or Trek Long Island um, within the next few years. I'm hoping to at least go to one of them next year. I'm hoping to, crossing my fingers, because I really want to celebrate the 60th anniversary of Star Trek with fans. So, yeah, yeah. I'm glad you understand it. He said, no, I completely get that. I have the exact same reason for why I could never go. Yeah, it's mainly finances. I mean, things have gotten a lot more expensive and stuff like that. It's not necessarily just the materials that people use to make props and stuff like that, but it's also air travel, hotel stays, that kind of thing. I mean, I saw a lot of people on my podcast Instagram posting about STLV, and I'm going like, oh man, I am so jealous of you all. I really wish I could be there because I really do want to meet you all, especially a few people that I've gotten to know over the years of doing podcasting for Star Trek. And I would like to get to know them and actually meet them in person. People like meet them I mean, I've met them virtually, but I have I've met them virtually, and they've been on the show. Especially people like Jesse and Chris, aka Mean Space Nine, who Mean Space Nine. I've actually had him on my show over the past year. I mean, especially in the last few months. Yeah, it would be a dream come true to meet a Star Trek fan in real life. I mean, granted, when I was a kid, Star Trek conventions were all over the country. I mean, I went to a couple of them when I was a kid. Going to there was a couple here in Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center, which I live about maybe like 2 blocks away in downtown Minneapolis. So I live about 2 blocks away from the convention center. Actually, my apartment building is connected via the Skyway system that we have here in Minneapolis to the convention center. So I remember I have accidentally met, I've actually been to a couple of Star Trek conventions when I was growing up. I wish they would do it more often. I mean, if they did, like, I know there's going to be like a Star Trek convention in Orlando, Florida in October. And I wish I could go. I wish they could do it more often to other places, not just like places like New York or Orlando or something like that. Like, do it in the major U.S. cities. Yeah. Ed says, as a 48-year-old man, I've never been to convention, Star Trek or otherwise. I've yet to meet a Trekkie in real life. Yeah. I don't know. I can't be talking about conventions here, but I have actually been at Convergence, which is actually the biggest sci-fi fantasy convention here in the Twin Cities. It's been around since 1999, and I finally got to go last year and this year actually. And I actually have recorded panels that I was on this year. They're available on the podcast feed. 3 episodes about that. And I did that. It's volunteer run and stuff like that. I did sign myself up to do a Star Trek Voyager panel at Twin Cities Con, which is actually the first weekend in November, which is over at the convention center. So I put a suggestion out to do a Voyager panel because I really want to do a live panel I can moderate a panel for Star Trek. I did moderate panels at Convergence my first year, and I sucked at it. But I think if I knew the topic better, I think probably I would do better at that. So, I put there was a suggestion out there. I put a suggestion out there to be a part of do a Star Trek Voyager panel, 30th anniversary panel at Twin Cities Con, which is November 7th through 9th at the Convention Center in Minneapolis. So I'm hoping if I'll know in September if I'm going, if that's going to be approved, and if that's the truth, and I'm going to be the moderator, I get to get a full pass for free. But if not, I might consider doing it as a podcast for the press. Actually, doing it as a press pass. So doing it as my Star Trek podcast and reporting from. I hope that happens for me too, Ed. I hope that happens. I will know I think people will start knowing in mid September. So if I don't get the panel, I'm gonna go the opposite direction and go okay, I'll do a press pass and talk and have my voice recorder and go to the convention as a member of the press, talking for my podcast. I want to get more exposure for the pod. I mean, we've been on the air for 4.5 years, and our audience is still small, but I'm hoping that it grows. I mean, we've had people have grown being a part of the pod that I've known from con. Like last year, I had a few people I actually met at Convergence on the show, being a part of episodes of Twin Cities Trekkies. I'm hoping that I can get a hold of the people who do I'll Be Home for Kalis again. I think they're going to do it again for 2025. So I have their emails. I can email them and ask them if they want to do a full cast interview this time around. I didn't get a chance to do it last year, which was unfortunate, but hopefully that happens. I mean, I'm trying to get this podcast audience bigger. So, get more exposure. I mean, I can only do so much. So, but that's what I'm hoping to for the convention circuit. I'm hoping to do, yeah. Thanks, thanks for the advice. He says, keep doing what you're doing. Eventually, your audience will find you. Yeah, and that's also very helpful if people actually listen to the show and put ratings as well, ratings and written reviews. I mean, we have 2 written reviews and on Apple, but that will also be helpful if people just start rating and reviewing. But granted, that's every podcast out there who asks the same thing of everybody else. So that's what I'm hoping. To get my audience bigger, as we are now almost past the 4.5 year mark, heading into the 5th year in 2026. Yeah. The key is to stay structured and make content as if millions are watching. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. At least, I know I have reliable listeners and I have reliable watchers like you, Ed. But and other people as well. But it's okay. I don't mind having my audience so small. I don't mind it, but I would like to have it bigger. Granted, there are a ton of Star Trek podcasts out there, and I'm just one little slice of the pie. Maybe like that big a slice, maybe like that big. Compared to other Star Trek podcasters like Captain's Quadrant, Strange New Pod, Mission Log, the Roddenberry Podcast Network, the Trek Geeks Podcast Network, the other podcast networks out there for Star Trek. We're just a small little piece of the pie. So, but there are a ton of them out there. But and the reason why I'm doing this is because I love Star Trek, and I have loved it all my life. So, but circling back around, talk about the through the lens of time, not the sands of time. Granted, it probably should have been called Sands of Time, but but that's okay. Doesn't matter. Sands, lens. I mean, granted, there's an hourglass in the episode, so yeah. Let's talk about the episode just a little bit. This episode is definitely back on the roller coaster upward on terms of the serious. This episode is very serious, in which they this actually build on the fact. Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is, Ed. He says, I think the lens that's referenced in the title of the episode is the lens of the drone camera that was recording. Yes. Erica Ortega's brother is making a documentary film to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Federation's founding, and he's using a drone camera, which, using a little bit of 21st century technology in the 23rd century is a little bit out there, but it makes sense. I mean, but I thought it was called Through the Sands of Time, and I didn't really read the title very well. I guess it's Through the Lens of Time. Like you said, Ed, it's the lens is the drone camera. But the main star of the main breakout performance is the character of Dana Gamble. Poor Dana Gamble. He, because this episode sells on the fact of strange new worlds. This actually is a strange new world. To learn about certain aspects of culture, various cultures over the galaxy, over the quadrant, about stuff like that, and he gets his eyes burned off, and he has a visor try to regenerate them, but unfortunately it's not working, and he turns into this very interesting character. The beginning part of the episode reminds me of Ensign Gamble, reminds me of as the lovable Bradward Boimler. He's very eager to be on the Enterprise. He's a very eager beaver kind of character, and I really did enjoy the actress Chris Myers' performance as Gamble. And when he loses his eyes, he turns into this really strange character. He's technically possessed by the ancient inhabitants of this planet, and it's really quite dark. It gets really quite dark and scary, actually, because there are episodes like this in the franchise that characters turn into different aliens and stuff like that. I can bring up a few of them, like Identity Crisis from the Next Generation, which is not actually one of my favorite episodes. I think it's one of the most bizarre episodes of Star Trek ever. But and then episodes like Extinction, which like the cast and crew, especially director LeVar Burton, said it absolutely sucked. And other episodes in which characters turn into other creatures and stuff like that. There's actually an episode of The Orville like that. And that was an episode I didn't really enjoy that much. Out of the third season episodes of The Orville, I didn't enjoy that one. I don't know, because alien possession, alien stuff like that, has been a tried and true method in sci-fi. It's not just been in Star Trek. It's not been just in the Orville. It's been in other such franchises, such as Alien and other things as well. Other such franchises in which alien possession of a character becomes more than themselves and becomes a murderous being, which this is what happens to Gamble. Unfortunately, his eyes are burned off, are destroyed, and he looks really creepy without it, by the way. But that's a testament to the a testament to the acting of Chris Myers. This episode, he really did showcase, yeah. Yeah, with the planet being confirmed, Ed says, with the planet confirmed to be the ancient home of the Q, it's quite possible that the orbs are confined proto-Q that are once at war with the Gorn, perhaps akin to the pod race. Yeah, you know, I never really thought of that, actually. Yeah, it is be the ancient home of the Q. Yeah, you're probably right. There probably are proto-Q still in those orbs and are very vindictive and angry and stuff like that. And when when um when the creature is finally put back into the orb, after after a lot of things happening, yeah, it was really interesting to see um Gamble being possessed by this life form, and then Patel showing up in sickbay, and she instantly became very hostile herself and became instantly superhuman. So my guess is, with that, when that happened, I think that the Gorn genes inside Patel knew who it was, and and they probably were at once at war with the Gorn. They probably were, because um, it's just the instinct that she had to kill him was very strong. She even said that in the episode. She said that I had this really strange, strong urge to kill him. Because, and I really, that was an interesting dynamic there between Chris Myers and Melanie Scarfano, who plays Battelle in the episode, plays Battelle. It is really quite interesting to see this really dark, and something triggers inside her to wants to destroy this character, wants to destroy this entity. So I really, really did enjoy that very much, and that's what made this episode different from the episodes that I mentioned before, that deal with characters transforming into other life forms, like Jory did in Identity Crisis, or Archer, Reed, and Sato in Extinction, or that admiral in that episode of the Orville. Um, and those episodes are different than this one because, um, while these characters, except for the one in the Orville, the other ones, the characters are cured of their transformation. Unfortunately, the Admiral in the Orville and Gamble are not, and it's really interesting to see that happen. And I know that there's been a theory floating around, and I'm gonna credit you, Ed, on this because we don't know what's happening with Patel yet. I mean, she looks like she's being cured. Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what Ed says. He says, my thoughts are, if she was able to destroy the body of Gamble and release the entity, it would have just jumped into another body. Yeah, you're right. Um, I think I think she was kind of wanting to destroy him, so then the entity could possess her, and then the two of them would, like, physically fight it out, and um and that's what I think is going to happen, because once the entity is released out of Gamble, he's dead. But they put the entity in the transporter pattern buffer, and that's the same way that Mbenga did to his daughter. Um, but at the end, the computer screen flickers, and the status screen does. And I think, and this is something that I've seen lately, is that I just saw it a few hours ago, is that this gave Strange New Worlds its most powerful villain to date. Because I have a feeling that this is going to be resolved at the end of the season. There's an episode for the season finale called I think it's called New Life, New Civilizations. And I think that the season finale, which will air in September, is going to resolve this problem. And it's going to be a very interesting finale, because because I think it's gonna resolve this. Because it's not only gonna resolve, yeah, the final 21 episodes. I'm thinking maybe, but I thinking that yeah, maybe it could be. This could be the big bad, and this could be the big bad that forces the Enterprise to be refit to the version that we all know and love. Because I honestly believe with all the damage they took from hegemony, I thought they were going to do it then, but no. I think this is going to be the catalyst that turns the Enterprise into the one that we see in No One or No Man Has Gone Before and beyond. Until for the original series, I think this is going to be it. It's going to be the conflict to get this life form out of the computer system, and eventually it's going to cause so much damage that it's going to cause the Enterprise to be severely refit to the variant to the version that we'll see in the original series. Um, and that's why I think it's going to happen, because eventually I think Strange New Worlds is going to get there in terms of the Enterprise shape and look of the original series, the original series Enterprise. So you got to find some way to make that happen. And now with Skydance and Paramount merging now, that actually happened a few days ago. It's now official. Um, it could possibly happen that we could probably get the Strange New Worlds Enterprise um, merged with the original series Enterprise and make it be like that. But it could be for the final 21 episodes, but I think it'll probably be resolved by the end of the season. I think it will be in the season finale, and that's where I think we'll get a resolution to this, and we'll also get a resolution to Batel's situation. Because I'm going to credit you, Ed, on this, because I know it's been floating around now on social media that Batel is the Gorn captain, is the Gorn human hybrid that Captain Kirk encounters in Arena. And I am crediting you, Ed. So, yeah, because, yeah, you're welcome, Ed. He says, I appreciate that. Yeah, because it's been floating around. You're the one who started it first, but unfortunately, Star Trek content creators are now stealing from other content creators. Yeah, it's not unheard of. What people have an idea, but yeah, he says it's not unheard of. The other people have the same idea, but darn it, I know I posted it first. Yeah, I think you did, Ed, and I agree with you. So I think that's where we're going to get it. We're going to get the resolution to this. We're going to get the resolution to Batel possibly turning into the Gorn that we know from Arena, because I think with these production values of 21st century production values, I think they can really do the original series Gorn justice. Because I haven't liked the design they have commissioned for Strange New Worlds. I haven't liked it. But I have liked I did I because I mean, granted, Hegemony Part 2 did make it better, but in the first couple of times we've encountered the Gorn prior to Hegemony, they looked like rabid dogs. So, in my opinion, and they turned into. I wish they wouldn't rip off the xenomorphs from Alien, but that's how I feel about it. So that's why I'm thinking we're gonna get a resolution to this and Batel in the season finale, and stuff like that. So that's how I feel about the episode. I enjoyed everything else, but definitely Chris Myers and Melanie Scarfano, especially Chris Myers, definitely stole the show. And there was a lot more of Carol Kane as Pelia after being a couple episodes away. And I still think she's going to drive Scotty to drink. But I think this is going to be a great episode. I think this is going to be a good episode. It built on it fulfills the bill of the subtitle Strange New Worlds. There was alien possession. There was a lot of other things. I mean, but Chris Myers and Dana Gamble. We hardly knew thee, but definitely this was a great episode. There was some the stuff on the planet were kind of boring, especially with the timey-wimey thing with the same space thing and different dimensional planes was interesting, but it kind of detracted from that story. I mean, the best part of the Enterprise stuff was with Gamble was the best part. So I'm going to give this episode a 4.5 out of 5, mainly because of the stuff on the planet after Gamble was kind of a little boring but interesting, but I was more invested in Gamble and stuff like that and his transformation and stuff like that than everything else. So before we end the live stream here, I want to talk about one particular thing about what's coming out of STLV. I really want to talk about Star Trek Las Vegas, and like I said, I really want to go, but I've always wanted to go, but I wanted to bring it up because I think it's an interesting thing to talk about. It is Scott Bakula, actually. Scott Bakula is actually a replacement this year for Kalmini, who unfortunately could not attend STLV this year. So Scott Bakula has attended STLV in the past, but he hasn't lately because of his commitments to other such things that he did, such as NCIS New Orleans. And he and Mike Sussman, who was one of the writer-producers of Enterprise, wrote some of the most best episodes of Enterprise's run, such as Regeneration and In a Mirror Darkly and other things as well. He has come up with the idea. He pitched this back in 2021, I understand, to do an Enterprise sequel series. It was Star Trek United. This would be in the style of the. Yeah, I thank you, Ed. I appreciate it. 4.5 is a good range for this episode. Yeah. So Star Trek United, that's what the title was, and it was going to be about Scott Bakula's return as Jonathan Archer, to be the Federation president. So, and this all stemmed from a little bit of tidbit information that was there in the episode In a Mirror Darkly Part 2, in which the Mirror Archer and Sato went through Archer's personal bio, the Archer Prime's bio, and saw that he was president of the Federation about 30 years after the NX-01's voyages. So it was about 25 years after the NX-01's adventures. So, which would make sense, because it has been 20 years since the finale of Enterprise, so it'd be a perfect time to come back. And I understand that they're interested in doing it, but they ultimately passed on it originally. But with Skydance now officially merged with Paramount, David Ellison, who is the CEO of Skydance and was executive producer of the last two Kelvin films, and why Skydance was a good idea to merge with Paramount originally, not necessarily anymore because of certain other things with the Trump administration. But they're optimistic about getting this because Star Trek United would be in the style of the Alan Sorkin series, The West Wing. And last year, I didn't binge the show, but I watched the first 10 episodes on Max because it's there. And I was meaning to watch The West Wing. The West Wing was actually on my watch list of shows that people were talking about back in the day and wanted to watch. I know my parents did. I know my father did watch The West Wing, but I'm always upset. I like political thriller shows like I mean, I watched Designated Survivor. I watched Commander. Yeah, West Wing is good. Yeah. I watched Designated Survivor. I watched Commander in Chief, the series with Gina Davis as the role of the President of the United States, with Donald Sutherland being like an antagonist. So the late Donald Sutherland. But that's where I watched those shows. So I started watching West Wing on Max last year. I haven't watched the whole series, but I did watch. Yeah, yeah. I think Ed said I'm right with you. I love Designated Survivor. The only show about the president I never watched was Scandal. Yeah, I never watched Scandal either. Mainly because I never watched Scandal. It's not because of anything personal or anything like that. I love Shonda Rhimes, who created Scandal. I mean, she created the show along with other shows. I mean, I watched one of her shows, Private Practice, which is a spinoff of Grey's Anatomy. But and I like medical dramas. But Star Trek United is going to be in the style of the West Wing, and I want to bring up when Star Trek Picard was announced back in 2018 when Patrick Stewart came out of the on the stage. Yeah, no personal reasons for me either. I love most of the stuff she does. I watched Grey's Anatomy for 11 seasons, but it just got too bad in the writing. Yeah, that's what I understand. Both my father and my brother watched the show, and they always tell me how bad it is. So, especially in the later seasons. But I mean, I will watch ER over Grey's Anatomy. So, and I will watch, and I've been meaning to watch The Pit on Max. So mainly because I've always been a big fan of John Wells' shows, who was an executive producer on ER, and created the Pit. So, and also Isa Briones from Picard is in it. So, but Star Trek United, I think it's a great idea because I think Star Trek is a political thriller kind of show, and I think we need to have a sequel series to Enterprise. I mean, that kind of bridges the gap between Enterprise and the first season of Star Trek Discovery, or at least from Enterprise to the Cage. So I think this could be a really great show. I don't think it could do 8 seasons because there was 8 years that Archer was president and of the Federation. It would be very interesting to see how this all works out, because we don't know how the government of the Federation works. We don't know. We know there's a president. We know there's a chief of staff. We know there's a commander, a CNC, as evidenced in Star Trek VI, but we don't know necessarily about how the Federation Council works. We don't know how the president operates. So this could be carving out a new niche of Star Trek canon by detailing how the political atmosphere works in the Federation with the president and his chief of staff and stuff like that. So, I mean, Scott Bakula did 7 years as in NCIS New Orleans, so he's a big draw for CBS and Paramount Skydance. But so I think this could be a very interesting series. I'd watch it, and I will be personally honest with everybody. When Star Trek Picard was announced back in 2018, I mean, granted, we didn't know how this was all going to work out. We didn't know how the series was going to be structured like. We didn't know that. So I remember talking about it with some fans and stuff like that, and I remember they were saying, "Oh, this could be like West Wing meets Star Trek," and because Picard could definitely be a president of the Federation. He's got that administrator, diplomat attitude. So I honestly thought that was going to be the case. So now with this idea, which is now being floated about, and I think Scott Bakula is actually pushing for a return to the franchise. after 20 years away, being on other shows and being a part of NCIS and stuff like that. Um, yeah, yeah, I think at least once a week. I think Crom for season 3 of Picard. Yeah, yeah. That's what I thought this was going to be. I thought Picard was going to be like that, but it ended up being something that was totally not that, and that's okay. I'm glad that my expectations were not necessarily high for Picard, but I did enjoy watching Picard. But I thought Picard was going to be like The West Wing, and I'm glad to see I was wrong. But I think a political thriller series with how the Federation works in its government, with the government part of it. We have seen, like I said, we've seen bits and pieces of the Federation government. We've seen 3 presidents. We've heard 4. I mean, we've seen 3, heard 4. With the last one being Anton Chekhov, which was a nice little tribute to Anton Yelchin in the series finale of Picard, voiced by Walter Koenig. But I did enjoy. I think we need to know how the government works in the Federation. We don't know. Granted, there's a book out there called Articles of the Federation, which was written in 2008 by Keith DiCandido. So, but definitely I think this show could definitely go very well. I think it could go for at least 5 seasons. Because you could do at least. I mean, you could probably split it up into 2.5 seasons each. If you want to do a 5-season run, you can do the first 2.5 seasons with the first term of Jonathan Archer, and then the second half. In the second half, you can do the second term of Jonathan Archer being president. And, with him dealing with political crises and stuff like that, and learning how to be a diplomat that the other captains will eventually look up to in terms of like Picard and other things, we can definitely see Scott Bakula doing like a diplomatic version of Archer and stuff like that. I mean, we could have flashbacks to he probably has PTSD from not only his time in the Expanse, but also the Romulan War and also stuff like that. We could have flashbacks. We can actually do a flashback to the Romulan War, show it for the first time on television, and other things as well. I think it could really do well. But it's up to the people at Paramount to greenlight it. And I understand also that Terry Matalas has written 20 minutes of the pilot episode of his what he wants to do, which is Star Trek Legacy. And he's written like 20-30 minutes of the episode of the pilot. Now that he's done with his Marvel series, and he's there, and he was talking about I understand he was talking about, I'm writing the Legacy pilot, and I've got 20 minutes written. So this is going to be an interesting time for the franchise because Strange New Worlds is ending, Starfleet Academy is starting soon, and whatever comes after that is going to be interesting because, now with Skydance and Paramount being officially merged, not the way I liked it because of the bribe that Trump gave him. Like, hey, we got to pay the settlement, but also, give us my money so I can be part of this, Yeah. That's another story, but it could be interesting for what they do for Star Trek. I'm hoping that it stays true to its word. Yeah, it was a bribe. It was a bribe. Yes. The bribe that I mean, the settlement plus bribe. Let's just say that. Settlement plus bribe. But definitely hi. Yes, it was a bribe. But I'm hopeful that it will with this. I'm a little bit pessimistic about the future of Star Trek, mainly because of that bribe, because of a person who oversees CBS. I don't know if it's going to spill over to the other programming, but considering how South Park has been parodying the Trump administration in the first two episodes of season 27, I'm a little bit, I don't know. I don't know what I think about it, but I have enjoyed this new season of South Park. But because I'm in stitches every single episode they've done. But I'm a little pessimistic, but I'm also optimistic about the future of Star Trek. Yes, that's what. Yes, Ed says no amount of bribes or dictators will ever stop or kill Star Trek. Star Trek is us. We are Star Trek, and as long as we love it, it will not go away. There may be a break in shows. Yes, there may be a break after Strange New Worlds ends, and because I understand they have a four year run for Starfleet Academy, and it may go into hibernation again. And it's nothing. It's not franchise fatigue this time. It's because of Alex Kurtzman's contract is expiring at the end of 2026. If he is extended, then Star Trek will go on. If he is not extended, which he might be around still, because with Skydance and stuff like that, having a history with Star Trek, and knowing and Ellison and Kurtzman working together on Into Darkness, he possibly could be extended, but we don't know that yet. His contract expires at the end of 2026, which is next year, and this is the last of his 5-year extension that he signed back in 2021. So there may be a break. We don't know the future of Star Trek. We don't know if Kurtzman is going to be extended. I mean, he possibly could be. He probably could not be. And because whoever will be in charge of streaming on Paramount Plus, I mean, I don't think they've named anybody that yet. I know they've named somebody for the other aspects of Paramount, but not necessarily the streaming part yet, unless it's David Ellison himself. But I don't think they've named anybody for the head of streaming on Paramount Plus. But they may be talking to Kurtzman about either extending or maybe extending another few years, or ending his contract in 2026, where he can go off and do whatever he wants to do with whatever. It's just there may be a break. Who knows? But I mean, Star Trek's been on the air for 60 years. It hasn't really gone away. You're right. It will never go away. I am concerned about a potential MAGA-friendly Star Trek show, and I don't like that. I am concerned about that. A whites-only MAGA-friendly Star Trek show. I don't like that, because MAGA is definitely an antithesis of Star Trek. So I think MAGA and Star Trek don't get along, and that's the truth. So I don't want that. I hope it's not. But that's what I have concerns with regarding Paramount's. Yeah. Ed says, think of it this way. If something like evil like that ever did happen, we all have we all have to do is not watch it, and one day when a good person takes over, we erase it from history. Yes. I think that's a great point, Ed. That's a great point. That's a great point, my friend. That's like I said, that's the only concern I have regarding this bribe that Trump also demanded, in addition to settling with Paramount over 60 Minutes and CBS News, is it going to turn into MAGA-friendly Star Trek? That was the only concern I have, and if it does, I'm done. I'm going to be like you, Ed. I'm going to turn it off, and then Oh, I like this. As says, needs of the few, many outweighs the need of the few, and there are more Star Trek fans that are good than bad. So people that would watch that show. Yeah, I think. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm hopeful that regarding what happened with the bribe and Paramount removing their diversity, equity, and inclusion programming in their company in order to get this merger approved, um, it won't affect the main core of Star Trek, which thrives on diversity, equity, and inclusion for all, not just for amongst humans, but also amongst all the species of the galaxy. So, and that's why I'm hopeful. So, think of it this way: there was no DEI in the 60s or 70s or 80s or 90s, and Star Trek thrived. Yes, yeah, yeah, you're right. Star Trek did thrive without DEI being a cat call for the right wing politics. And Star Trek did thrive, and that's it's a testament to what Gene Roddenberry did. It's a testament to what all of the other Star Trek shows have done. Is that the way they cast the shows and the films, they like Gene Roddenberry wanted the entire planet Earth to be represented on the Enterprise. He casted Nichelle Nichols and he casted George Takei and stuff like that to represent the various nations of the world. And and he did the same thing with the Next Generation. He took the same kind of liberty, same kind of that he did with regard to casting for for the rest of the crew. He had a very diverse group of people, like who did the Next Generation. He had a and then when DS9 was created, they did the same thing with Michael Piller and Rick Berman, and the same thing happened with Voyager with Jerry Taylor, Michael Piller, and Rick Berman, and then Rick Berman with Brandon Braga at Enterprise. So, and then eventually with Alex Kurtzman and Brian Fuller, and then eventually Kurtzman with the other crew, with Akiva Goldsman and Jimmy Lumet, and all those people who casted diverse casts, and that's what Star Trek really thrives on, is the diversity of its casts, of the cast of the various shows, and even though I know that some of them are not as popular as the other ones, and I'm looking at your Discovery. Because there are people out there on social media who want to rage farm against it, saying this was woke and all that bullshit. Sorry about the swearing there, but but all that BS. But definitely, I'm very, very hopeful of the aspects of Star Trek. I'm really hopeful that it will stay true to its visions of having inclusivity and and diverse crews, diverse characters, everything, because I'm excited about Starfleet Academy. I'm actually kind of interested to see about this. Oh, thanks, Ed. Swearing is very Discovery of you. Yeah, I just said one swear word, and that's all I'm going to say, because I try not to swear on my pod, but sometimes it just comes out. I hope you're not offended, but but definitely, that's why I'm hopeful for Star Trek to continue to thrive on diversity. And okay, good. I'm glad you're not offended, because I'd be a little sad if you were, but but definitely, that's what I'm hopeful for regarding regarding what happened with the Trump regime and the bribe and the settlement, that Star Trek can stay the way it is. That's what I'm hopeful for, because I can live with it if it stays that way. I'm not going to be able to live with it if it turns into a right-wing Star Trek show, Star Trek franchise. So, because I don't like that at all. And the right wing kind of pisses me off. But but definitely let's hope for the better part of the future as we approach 60 years of Star Trek, and hopefully everything will work out just fine. Because it's a strange fear I have, but I'm sure if anybody's watching this later and watching this aspect of it, like saying that I'm concerned about a MAGA-friendly Star Trek show, they can agree with me or disagree, like, oh, whatever. I'm concerned about it, but I'm hoping that my concerns are just in my head. So that's what I'm hoping for. So let's wrap it up. Thank you for watching. If you want to, so to get in touch with us, simple, email us, tctrekkiespodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to send us an email with anything you'd like to say. Be it anything, of anything I said today or of anything on the pod, you can let me know. I encourage you to, share with your friends, share with your family, and stuff like that. And you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky. You can find us on Instagram at Twin Cities Trekkies Pod, Blue Sky at TC Trekkies. You can find it when you search out that, and it should show up as Twin Cities Trekkies Podcast. We are in a few weeks. We will have on the pod itself. We will have. We're going to try to do more Voyager episodes, Voyager celebration episodes. I haven't really been doing it because of my arm, but with my elbow, I should say, and I haven't been able to do any of the Voyager episodes for a while, but I'm hoping to get back into it soon. We are also going to try to do other episodes as well. Live streams are going to still be on Sundays, so audio versions will be available on Mondays or Tuesdays. I haven't really decided yet, but it'll probably be Monday evenings, but I haven't really decided about that yet. But hopefully this will be a lot better than the last time in terms of getting the audio version than the last time. That's why this episode number 4 instead of number 3, because I had a problem with the last live stream, having it to be the MP3 didn't save properly, so that's what happened. So you can find us on the social medias. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you're a NASCAR fan. I used to be a NASCAR fan when I was growing up. But definitely you can find us on those social media platforms. Episode 97 should be released momentarily on your favorite podcast platform. And we will see you soon. We will be doing episode 6 of Strange New Worlds. The Salot that ate its tail. That's an interesting title. And I seen a little clip of it. I guess it involves James C. Kirk. So guess we'll find out. But definitely, we will see you on Sunday and stuff like that. So for night number 5, talking about the Salot who ate its tail. Take care and live long and prosper.